Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be showing off the new build for Pendulums. I got a lot of different gameplays for you guys. We're going to see it win, we may see it lose, but the point is, with the new ban list, we have the Perform Pal Skullcrabat Joker, which is a phenomenal card. Now, is it as good as it used to be at full power? It's not even close, but the thing is, the deck can still technically open up with a relatively decent board, depending if you want to play hand traps or not, or if you want to play the build that can go into artifacts. It can be a very, very good deck. Now, I would say it definitely has some potential for huge explosive turn ones. However, almost all Yu-Gi-Oh decks can explode turn one. And the thing is that when you're playing Pendulums, you're heavily reliant on having like a lot of cards because you have to obviously complete your scale. So sometimes it can leave you to where if you go second and you don't play hand traps, that like it's just one of those times where you just instantly lose to, let's say, a Naturia Beast, or technically Imperial Order can also be a card that people have to deal with. Since Sky Strikers is a very popular deck, most people are main decking Imperial, which, yeah, that just is like an auto lose for you. And that's just the nature of Pendulum decks. But nonetheless, pretty good duel over here with this build. I got multiple different builds to show you guys, and since I'm talking about just Pendulums, I will give you guys one gameplay of like a Spellcaster variant, but the main focus of Pendulums, technically you can mix them. I've seen people do that, but you either gotta pick like the engine of the Performer Pal. There's kind of some of the magicians in here, but there is more of like an Endymion build that some people are playing. Again, I've seen people mix them up, but for the most part, just being able to add the Perform Pal Pendulum Sorcerer is just the main key here. And there's also a lot of different ways that you can play. You can even play it when you go into the artifact to lock your opponent from going into the extra deck, which I do have a deck profile for that. The guy ends up OTKing him anyways, but this is just a really good duel for the first game over here. So you see Access Code Talker activating its ability to go ahead and start popping some stuff. Ray's going to come back, but obviously that card is also going to go right back into another Sky Striker. This is why I've been saying like Crow is just so important in the main deck. Just being able to get rid of that one target, specifically this one over here, is just really good against even the matchups when you have Salaman Great, when they go ahead, Rage or Roar, like they want to add that card back, you just say no. And sometimes you can win simply off of Crow, where Pendulums, they don't really need the graveyard too much. It depends on what build that they're playing. There is, I know that one continuous spell where you can send to get like a 3 or lower, which I've seen a few people play. It can be like an okay card, but he unfortunately loses out to the Access Code Talker. A lot of people are losing to this card now. It's just so powerful after you board wipe, but even though we saw the deck take an L here, I think it's important to kind of see the ins and outs of this deck. Like I said, I've got lots of variety of gameplay of the deck, but I wanted to go ahead and show you guys like games where they're open up with it first. But I do have games where it opens up with it more toward, well, it doesn't open up with it, it's more like it ends with Skullcrabat Joker. But this card will be a easy negate that like you don't really need this card's effect. It's not like the most important card. Yeah, it does let you add a card, but sometimes you might have other ways to search off that specific card. There's a lot of cards in Pendulums where we're able to add extra cards just as searchers, because obviously you got to complete the scale. The guy has a few negates over here. This card is still very, very awesome. It's got decent stats as well, but this guy's playing like a Chaos variant. He's also playing Artifacts. A lot of people are mixing in the Artifacts as it just can automatically beat certain decks and matchups, but nonetheless, we're seeing the Artifact Dagda over here. Again, this is for specifically going into Scythe, and this locks your opponent out. It's more so for a turn one play, but I figured I'd go ahead and show it off for you guys because it is a common thing that this deck will open up with, but you got to know what you're playing up against. But this card, I've been just seeing it so often in Pendulums now. And in fact, even like Sky Striker, a lot of different archetypes, if you can make this card, it's usually going to be game. He goes for this card, but he realizes, well, I can't really do anything for this because it only gets its effect when it's synchro summoned. But nonetheless, he's just like, okay, well, I lose anyways because this card, well, it's not going to be doing too much over here. So that was kind of just showing off the artifact, like, you know, the basic core combo for it. It's a relatively simple one, but now we're going to see it in action over here. This guy actually has a lot of different ways to go ahead and prevent him from kind of playing. As you know, Cosmic Cyclone is really popular now just because, you know, it can just banish the card, and that can be good if you play against like Salaman Great. Again, Sky Strikers usually won't be setting to engage, but sometimes if you have the anti-spell Fragrance Not that you'd play it in Pendulums, but I've seen some people just try to run it because it does help out against that like matchup, especially since so many people are playing Sky Strikers. A lot of people have been side decking that as well. Just slowing them down is really good because it basically means they cannot like go do anything. But you'll see Tornado Drag come out, another like relatively popular card. Now, in this instance over here, he still doesn't know what his opponent is playing, but you could definitely go for the artifact, as again, like I mentioned before, it's really popular. What the heck? Okay, hold on. This one is it's got the Zeus. You know, this one's got it in here. Here we go. It's got the artifacts. Did it already? Okay, here it is. Okay, I was like, where the heck did it go? Like I said, I wanted to mention that card. It's a pretty important card, and I mean, if you make it turn 1, they just quit on you a lot of times. So I figured it didn't really make it for like good, exciting gameplay. But like I said, I wanted to show you guys a few different builds, and I'll show you guys the Spellcaster variant, as I wanted to cover. I just want to throw one in here because, you know, people do like to have some extra variety. So there's also Desires that a lot of people are playing as well. I think it's still worth it. Yeah, if you banish like the one card you need for a combo, it sucks. But I think with Pendulum, you need to force out some negations. And again, this is just like a very, very bread and butter combo. It's what a lot of people have been doing. And that is because, well, it's an auto win. And he gets Nibiru'd, unfortunately losing out everything. Is he going to be able to come back? We'll wait and see if Jonas is going to be able to come back. But yeah, I'll give you guys the deck profile for all of these that you're about to see over here. But Sky Strikers is definitely one of the most popular decks. This, and I would say Salamangreat, probably have the most playtime, as I'm like kind of just getting you guys variety of gameplay duels. It's just, I'm trying to get non-Sky Striker, but that's what, like, I would say, like, about 50% of the people that are playing, like in competitive at least, that is what they're playing. So just be expected to play up against that. There's not really too many options to Nat Beast someone in this deck. I've seen people try to force it out, but the thing is if you can make Nat Beast right now, it is so powerful. You can, sometimes you can wreck Salad depending on what they open up with, because obviously they have Circle and they have a lot of other cards. If you just like stop spells this format, that and DD Crow, I'd say, like, are the key cards this format to winning a lot of your games. But obviously, yeah, the artifact card can automatically be a instant win as well. But we're going to see Engage activated. Going to be searching out, like I said, you got to get this card out of there ASAP so they can't recycle it, because they're just going to be using it again and again. And there can only be one. It can definitely hurt depending on the deck that you're playing, or I guess like kind of the version of it. But we see Double Iris Magician. That's another nice card. It's at 2 right now for the TCG. Then we have Chronograph coming out. He's going to go place different cards. Pendulum Zone. He's going to have to defense up. This card can be quite annoying to deal with, depending on, again, what you want to go for. But now we're going to get that effect. And he's going to go ahead and get rid of the opponent's monster. And, of course, Ray coming right back, attacking into that. It's 1400 Ray going right into the Hayate. Then we're also going to see Rose coming out, getting some extra damage here. Let's start sending a card to the grave, and it's going to be his turn. He's going for that Phoenix, getting rid of the Time Pendulum draft because he doesn't want him to be able to do very much the following turn. But he's got the Terraform, he's got the Harmonizing Magician. Can activate the Terraform and go for Secret Village. Like I mentioned before, this format is definitely really heavy on spells. So when you're able to do this, and like I said, this is kind of like, I've seen it even in Endymion builds try to throw this in. Again, a lot of people are trying to make Nat Beast or just being able to stop spells. There's also that like one other card that like negates your opponent's first spell, but that can be kind of iffy because, you know, they can kind of just force the negation out of it, but it still helps, right? Especially if you have extra negations. And I've been also taking your guys' feedback because a lot of you guys were like, I don't like it when you show off gameplay of the opponent having, you know, no responses to like insane, you know, turn 1 board. So I try to give you guys what I would consider a more realistic duel, right? Because, you know, as a content creator, I would see it across other content creators when they're showing off like gameplay of like new builds. They show it being super OP where the opponent has no hand traps. And I get it. Like, you know, you want to show up the deck at its like height potential because like that's kind of the point of showing how powerful the deck is. But realistically, if you are playing against a meta player, they're gonna Nibiru you, they're gonna Ash you. So, you know, I gave you guys what I would consider more realistic gameplay scenarios. And also, like, you know, more longer duels, even though I mix in sometimes, you know, gameplays where like one person just kind of obliterates them, but it might be because I'm trying to show like a very specific combo or like show you guys what you can do with a specific card. But now he's able to go ahead and start using some spells. Again, that card, it can be auto win. Okay, now we have the Joker finally coming out, the late Joker. All right, but anyways, the guy ends up surrendering. He's like, okay, well, I can't do too much against that. And he still even has the Dead Desires. He only had 3 cards left in the deck. Really good stuff in there. Very long duel. But like I said, I'll give you guys one pen Spellcaster, and this is going to be one of those where the guy just opens up really good. I mean, the guy, he ended up, I feel like he kind of, he gave up a little bit early. But like the other build that this guy Water is playing, I still think it's good. But like the highlight of this, even though I'm calling it like new pendulums, because you can mix them technically in combination with each other, but I think that they're like, if you want to play like the Spellcaster variant, I guess technically that one has Spellcasters in it, but like I'm talking about like the Endymion Spellcaster build versus the other build, they are both good. Like I said, I've seen people mix both of them, and you can brick super hard with it, especially with some of the cards that need like to have these things that require counters to be placed on. I would say just pick one of them, and I'm just going to include one gameplay here because, you know, someone that might be wanting to play Pendulum. I even seen this card be played in the other version. This is why I'm showing off this gameplay, by the way. Magician's Right Hand. This is the card where it's like, that I was mentioning, where it negates the first spell card or effect that, if I can even go over it. Okay. And then you get to destroy the card. So, like, it is pretty decent. And then on top of that, you have Jackal that's just phenomenal with like 11 counters on this. Is like, it's a no fun zone. Like you said, I felt like the other guy just, sometimes people just don't want to deal with things. I mean, he had the Winged Dragon of Ross Fear mode, but I don't know, maybe he was just like, yeah, I don't want to play. Like, I mean, his name is I Make People Quit. I think this guy, his game plan was just to AFK, because I saw him like a couple times and he would just AFK on people, just to troll them. But like, it's, the concept is still here. Like this version of the deck is still good, but again, the highlight of this, obviously with the newer ban list, which is the highlight of the video, is of course the Skullcrobat Joker. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop right into the deck profile for this. So I've got a few different builds. The ones you guys saw, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with the top. This is the one that was playing the Secret Village. I've seen people max out on triple on this. Like, it's not a bad option, especially if you're able to go first. And if you don't want to play hand traps. Here's the thing with like the whole like Pendulum deck. You need a lot of cards to get your engine going, but if you mix in hand traps, the problem is you might not get your combo going, and when you're going first, you want the maximum potential to pull off your combo. But if you let your opponent go completely off, like you're going second, you're gonna have a bad time. So it depends on what you want to go for. Keep in mind, these are just a few varieties, and I'll include the download file, so I'm just gonna mouse over them relatively quick just so you can get the deck profile. But like Double Iris and Skullcrobat are basically the highlights of like obviously the newer list here. But yeah, making things like Savage Dragon, Dong Dragster with the Tuning Magician, this has been a little bit more popular, I would say, of more recently in Pendulum variants, just to try to get this. Of course, this card just so great in like almost every Yu-Gi-Oh deck. But this was the one by Jonas. Now, Leaf over here, he was playing the one with the Zephyr engine, which, again, you can play Pendulum decks with, like, Skullcrobat so many different ways, but the Scythe one is definitely, I would say, you know, it's only like a 1 extra card, and you can make it, and it could be an instant win. Granted, you need to know what you're playing against, because there are some archetypes, like the Flunder Freeze, which will be like, what's an extra deck? I don't care about an extra deck. So you have to know exactly what you're playing against, but that's probably one of the newer archetypes that has a huge potential that just doesn't need it. Pretty much everything in Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of the metagame right now, you will need the extra deck. Again, Flunder Freeze is not technically out in the TCG yet, but this is another variant with the Abyss Actors. Most of it's just like extra monsters, but this one has that ability. You can just special it, so it's just like a free, like a kind of like a Cyber Dragon-ish. It's just if you control no monsters, which is great for that. And then a lot of people are still playing Desires. Again, if you lose out on like the small cards that you can only play 1 or 2 of, it sucks. But yeah, you know, that's part of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It's the risk reward. And I think that this is great in Pendulums, because a lot of times Yu-Gi-Oh, like I've mentioned before, time and time again, Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten to be a very fast game. Now this one's a little bit more interesting, a little bit what I would consider risky. He is playing Disparity in here, and I want to give you guys some variety. You guys saw this duel where he ended up going for Utopia. It's like a hit or miss. A lot of times though, again, the goal with, I personally think Desires is better, because there's so many key cards that you need in your extra deck to make a lot of things go off. Like Hockey Firebrax is pretty big, especially if you're playing like the build with a lot of the tuners. That could be something you do need to consider as well. But hey, if the RNG guards are in your favor, it doesn't matter, right? But like I said, I'm just gonna mouse over. This is Gorgon over here, there's the other player. There's just so many other builds for you guys, so you guys can go ahead and mix and match to go what you want to play. But I also want to give you guys really quick the Pendulum Spellcaster variant that you guys did see by Water. But big shout outs to all the players and all of their different varieties of deck profiles, because like I said, I think that it's better to give you guys a variety of decks. That way you guys can kind of play what you want. And again, some of these cards you can main deck in all of the decks. Like I said, I've seen a few people just tech one of these. It can be okay. Again, it's just, it's times where, like, if you open up with a bad hand, it makes your bad hands worse. And it's on top of that, a lot of Pendulum decks, they're opting not to play the hand traps because you want to have the highest chance for, like, a big explosive turn one to open up with, like, Appaloosa and, like, a lot of other negation cards. And when you throw in a bunch of hand traps, you brick, you can't complete your scale and summon pop off because they just have, like, one hand trap. It can be unfortunate. So, like, you know, it's a give and take with it. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here and you want to be up to date with newer Yu-Gi-Oh ban lists, hit subscribe, turn the bell, and you'll definitely see more very soon. In fact, I believe at this point we've covered pretty much most of the ones that people want to play, whether it be Sky Strikers or Salads and Dinosaurs with the new ban list, because those are things that did get changed, and those are all uploaded already on the channel. But anyways, take care, guys, and I'll catch you on the next video, and I'm out. Peace.